Recent drop in interest rates, banks have seen a surge in applications for refinancing. But with banks cutting back and reducing their staffs, homeowners, a lot of people who want to refinance are waiting a long time just to close those deals. Drew Kessler is Director of Sales at Rand Mortgage. He joins us now with some tips on how you can speed the process up. And Drew, I know that some banks, you lock in your interest rate. Some banks it's 60 days. I think Chase might have actually gone just recently to 90 days. What's the standard? And can I, when I approach a lender, can I negotiate the term of the lock-in without having to pay a fee?
Sure. Well, first off, you don't have to lock in. The thought of locking in is to secure a specific rate. If you choose and you want to float your rate, which means you go where the market goes, you can lock all the way up to 48 hours of closing. So you do have the flexibility of locking for a set period of time or going all the way up to the end without actually locking into a rate.
Yeah, but the danger if you don't lock in is, one, interest rates have actually been climbing back up. Two, you've got to be betting that in the next 60 to 90 days, depending on what the term is, that you expect interest rates to either be where they are today or fall. And the indicators are that no, they're actually going to keep ticking up, right?
Well, now we're seeing that. Now we're starting to see the creeping up of the mid-fives and maybe even the high fives in the next couple months. But if you were to go back the past 90, 120 days, we've been fortunate enough to fall right around the 5 to 5.5% range. So if you got in, let's say at 5.125 a couple months ago, there's a good chance you still probably can get that over the past couple weeks.
Okay, but the key is if you got in, let's say 5%. Let's say you got in, but you haven't closed yet. The clock is ticking if you locked in. How do you speed things up? Are you on the hook if the slowdown is because there's a staffing shortage at the bank? What do you do?
Well, the biggest thing is being diligent. I mean, when your loan officer or your processor asks for a document, you have to provide it right away. The lag time of taking your time to put your documents together is going to kill you in the long run. That's really what's going to have extenuating circumstances and costs, associated with the mortgage as far as extension fees if you want to keep the same rate. So the moral of the story is whatever you can do, get it as fast as you possibly can.
Are you saying if I'm a borrower who wants to refinance, if I have all the documents from the moment I contact you and we negotiate a deal, am I going to close within 60 days, or are you seeing it getting...
It depends. Now, if you come to me, yes, you will close within 60 days. If you came to me about 90 days ago or 4 or 5 months ago, the answer probably would have been no. The banks are taking such a tremendous time underwriting these files because they're looking at underwriting a file page by page, which they haven't done in 10, 15 years. So they're really getting back to the basics and spending the time and being diligent to verify everything and duplicate and triplicate to make sure what they're investing in is the right investment.
But if I'm locked in and I've gotten you all the documents and things are still taking too long, am I on the hook if we miss the closing deadline, or do I have to pay the couple $100, maybe a couple thousand to extend that?
It should not be your fault. If you're dealing with a reputable lender with any major bank, it should not be. They should pick up the extension costs because they have to understand that they're at the shortcomings of this issue, and they don't have the proper staff to give you what you expected to begin with. So no, you should be able to push for a free extension. If rates are better or the same at the time of when your rate expires, the extension cost is zero to begin with.
So let's talk about that issue. Let's say you are looking at an interest rate of 5.4 today, but things do drop and you miss your lock-in date. Does the bank charge you a fee if you're going to go for a lower interest rate, or can you say to them, no, I'm not going to pay it, give me the lower rate for free?
Well, traditionally, when banks go and lock you in, they go ahead and hedge the money. They go out and purchase the money. So if they lock you in at 5.4%, and let's say rates go down to 5%, they've already bought that money at 5.4%, and they're going to honor it. So if rates come down and you need an extension, they'll give you a free extension. But if you're in a situation where you want the lower rate, traditionally, most banks are not going to break the lock-in, just as if rates were to go up. They're not going to break it and say, hey, listen, rates are at 6% right now, you're getting 6%. Traditionally, most banks' policies allow for, if rates to drop, they'll either renegotiate or you break your rate lock or have it expire, and you have to wait 30 days to take current market rate.
Okay, let's recap this. First, if you are in the refi process right now, you've got the time is ticking away, make sure you have all your documents, right?
Without question.
And is there, other than just picking up the phone, is there anything you can do to pick up the pace if the bank is having a staffing shortage?
Well, one other issue is the appraisals. If an appraiser calls you to set up an appraiser, get them in right away. Do not take any time or any lag to have them come a week or two later. Right now, the appraisals are slower than they've ever been, so now is a time where you have to get an appraiser in. Get the documents together ahead of time. If the bank asks for something else, give it to them at as quick pace as possible.
And don't be bullied by your mortgage originator or your bank. You can always find someone else who might be willing to do a deal with you, right?
Sure, without question.
Drew Kessler, thank you very much for joining us. It's always good to get advice on refinancing, since most of us do that more than once in our lifetimes.
Without question.
Drew, thank you. We want to head overseas to take a look at what's happening with global markets. Ashley Webster joins